Good morning. How are you today? I hope you've been very well. It's early. Very early. I was supposed to start filming at 7. It's now 7:30. Today is the last day of autumn. So I have a very muted look for you today. A very cool toned muted look. And I haven't done one in a while, so let's get started. It's surprisingly not that cold. Last night was kind of warm. It's still kind of warm right now, but that's alright. I'm not complaining about the warmth right now. Okay, so I've prepped and I've primed. Let's go. You know, despite my early morning whining, I actually enjoy being up early in the morning because that means that I'm ready to go before lunch and I can go do whatever I wish in the day. I used to be a night owl, which basically meant that I got home just before sunrise and I would wake up just before sundown. And that was my life for 10, 15 years? Has that ever happened to you where you think you're set in your ways and then you experience something else? For me, it was just the dawn. Fell in love with that type of thing and now you're just that person. Because that's what happened to me. I did jump straight into the makeup here. I'm using the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place foundation. Oh, that's right, I took the sticker off last time in the shade 2-in-1. I forget to mention things because I assume that you're going to use your own foundation and not switch to mine just because I use it. But if you have oily to normal skin, because I would say my skin is now oily to normal, this is a great foundation. If you like a matte finish or a satin finish, this is how it finishes naturally, but I also set it later. It is a good foundation for that though, and I would highly recommend, despite the whole thing with the pump, how you have to buy it separately, it's alright. For concealer, I use the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer in Chantilly because as much as I want to make comments about lacking the brightness, honestly, it's the only color that will do that for me in this brand, and I do like this concealer. It is very good. In order to not be so moody about, moody days, moody seasons, what are some things you love about the winter? Some people I know are winter people. They prefer the cold, they prefer the mountains, and I honestly thought I was one of these people until I went to Canada and studied there for a year and realized that holy shit, it is cold and I can't handle it. And then last year going to Greece in the summer and being 40 degrees, nice, very nice. And that's when I made that shift. So are you more of a winter person or a summer person? I think anyone who wears makeup can tell you that winter is the optimal time, unless of course you've got dry skin, because your makeup has less of a chance of getting oily. But you could be someone that doesn't wear makeup and still loves the winter. I guess for me, the best things about winter, I want to say fashion. I want to say the coats, the boots, the beanies, the scarves, the layers and all of that. But I live in Sydney, and Sydney is notoriously behind in terms of fashion. It doesn't get cold enough for us to wear actual coats and scarves and all those things, but in order to fit in and to feel like we're, doing something with the winter, people sometimes do wear scarves and coats and things. I know I do. And honestly, the streets are a mix between people in shorts and people in coats. But arguably one of the best things about winter season, which is the fashion, is very dulled down on this side of the world. And time to set with the Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder, come on Elle, wake up, in Ultra Blur. If you've been here for a while, you would remember when I did my body painting seasons and I did the Northern Lights and I did a frozen river reflecting the cosmos. That's how I imagine beautiful winters. I imagine Christmas in Switzerland. I imagine snowy mountains, all of those beautiful things, the inn with the cognac, warm cognac drink or mulled wine or hot chocolate. We don't really get that here, at least in the city. I know there are places in Sydney and actually all around Australia that do have snow, but I wouldn't call it snow. I'd call it fake snow. Because people here are very sporty, they like to snowboard and ski and stuff, but it's not the same. My final year of uni I spent in Canada. I've spent a Christmas in Greece when I was 13. It's a very different vibe. So as dynamic as I wish our winter to be, it's just grey most of the time. So I think that's why I feel dull around this time of year. And I wish that I was elsewhere, you know. But, you know, it's time for the rest of the world to enjoy the summer while we take a break. For bronzer, I'm going in with the Benefit Hoola bronzer. Bronzer is a tricky... Okay, I'm going to go on a little tangent here. Bronzer is tricky because in order for you to see how much bronzer I'm applying, how I'm doing it, I need to apply a lot so it shows up on the camera. But if I'm going out in public, what I've applied now is fine. But you can barely see it on camera, but I can see it a lot in my mirror. So a lot of the time, and also in photos. So a lot of the time, in my photos, it looks like I'm not actually dimensional. It looks like I'm very moon-faced. Because in order for bronzer to show up, it needs to be packed on. And in the summer and spring, you can kind of get away with it. But in the winter, not so much. You lose your tan, the sun ain't sunning, and you run the risk of looking like a fool. With a small, fluffier brush, when I say small, it's like medium. Nose contour. I think I've said this in every video, my nose contour is very basic. I have now a smaller, straighter nose. I'm gonna figure out how to show you how to contour not so small, not so straight noses. I will. Because there's a beautiful art to it, and you wouldn't think that it would be flattering because you're like, why would I put darkness there? That's the boldest part, trust me. And the optional step of shading underneath the lip for anyone out there with not so plump lips. I don't know, I think this is a necessary step, but it is technically an optional step. Everything's an optional step, this is makeup. Especially since we're going in with darker colors today, more muted colors, which means that our lips are gonna look smaller by default. So little things like that, they help. For blush, I'm going in with the NARS Dolce Vita, up on the, not exactly the cheekbones, it's like the bridge between the cheekbone and the bronzer we applied. Which, I feel like sometimes I apply bronzer a bit too low, but that's because this is the dip of my face. Let us fix our sad little eyebrows with the Benefit Gimme Brow because we are compulsive pluckers. It's such a convenient product. I love this so much. And usually if it doesn't work out, it's my eyebrow that's the problem. That's as good as I'm gonna get that today. Alrighty, let's do some shadows. God, this palette might need to be replaced. I'm torn because I want to do a cooler look, and the Natural Nudes palette that I always use to me feels neutral. It's the neutral, Born This Way Natural Nudes. But the chocolate palette, the semi-sweet chocolate palette, which I've either hit pan or completely finished most of these, has cool browns. I think I'm going to go between them because the color Mousse on this palette, which is the closest one to my skin tone, is close enough to the color Nude here for the undertones and everything, but there's not enough of it in this palette. So we'll start with the Natural Nudes Born This Way palette, and I'm going to go in with Nude for the undertone layer. You know how it is if you've been here long enough. We're going to do some undertoning. I'm going to do a smoky eye today because it's basically how I feel. I'm going to show you how I feel today through makeup. We're going to cover the entire eyelid with, again, I'm using Nude, but you can use whatever eyeshadow that you have. I'm going to cover the entire eyelid today with Nude, which I feel like I've been doing the last couple videos, but anyway, you're covering it all with Nude up to the brow on the inner corner of the eye and taking it out to the outer corner. I usually like to drag it out to where my eyebrow ends, but you can't really tell because I have a semi-hooded eye, but not having it there shows more than when you have it there, since it is a transition undercolor shade. And surprise, surprise, we're doing the eye bag area because it's a smoky eye and we like to hide the fact that we only slept 5 hours. And because for technical reasons, it brings the look closer together, it gives it a more cohesive look, and it brings more of a solid shape to the eye. With a denser, fluffy brush, we're going to go in with the color Puddin from the Semi-Sweet Chocolate palette for whatever's left of Pudding. I'm tapping it onto just the lid area now, pushing it into that crease, but like semi-hooded eye syndrome, it's not going to look like that. It's just where I'm distributing the most color. I will blend it out in a second. And it should slide pretty easy because we do have the previous shadow underneath and a powder underneath that, so it should slide pretty easy. This look, okay, so Jamie Genevieve with her brand Vive, they have these kind of cream shadow sticks. And I feel like if I had one of those, if I had this color version of that, I think it would look better, honestly, because these kinds of looks always look better with creamy shadows because they blend more seamlessly. One day we'll try those out too. I feel like every time she comes out with something, it's like extraordinary. But yeah, if I had a cream shadow or even a liquid shadow, I feel like smoky looks are better with liquid and cream shadows. Just the medium itself is built for it, you know? Okay, so I'm keeping this for now, at least. It's probably going to change the more we go into it, more rounded. I'm following the shape of my brow bone a little bit higher because, I mean, let's be honest, what did I am bringing it a little bit higher, but I am keeping it close to the lid. I'm not afraid to bring it up a bit because we don't have all the real estate in the world up here. But yeah, trying to maintain that round shape for now. I might change my mind later. With a pencil brush, a pretty dense pencil brush, I'm going to take that same color Puddin and just run it underneath the eye bag. I'm running it under the entire thing again, closer to the lash line than the nude color that we took, but still under the whole thing. You should know that I do take it down pretty low, the shadow. My eyes are set pretty high on my face, and I feel like taking the shadow down pretty low centers that and balances it out a little bit. But it's up to you how far down you bring it. But yeah, just a heads up, I'm going to bring it down pretty far. And the reason I like working in layers is because we used that nude color underneath, we don't have to do too much blending once we apply the deeper tone on top, because it blends pretty seamlessly in and of itself. Okay, I'm just defining that round shape here. I'm bringing out the lower lash line, but I'm darkening that shape a little bit. And I'm going to take that blending brush from before again, just to bring this out a bit more, because I feel like this eye, it looks more narrow, so that they can both reach the end of each eyebrow and look more, what's this word? Elongated? Yeah. It's early, man. I don't know. I'll get there. It's going to be the most frustrating edit as well. I'll be like, come on, Elle. This isn't hard. I'm going to take an angled brush and the color Licorice, and I'm going to draw from the center of the eye up just a little line, which I will blend out because I think I'm going to do a liner. And I'm also going to connect from the bottom lash line, from that outer V again to the center point to bring that out a bit, and I'm going to blend it with my pencil brush. What I like about this palette is that the black isn't very harsh. So normally, if you've been here for a while, if you watched a few of my videos, you'll know that I go into the Melt Cosmetics Gemini palette for the color Bonnie, because that black is dark. But we're going to try and keep this as smoky as we can. More like a whisper as opposed to a statement. So that's why I'm using Licorice from this palette. And to blend it out more seamlessly, I'm going to use my fluffiest brush from before. When I say to blend it out, that phantom line is still going to be there, but what we're going to do is just make sure that it's not blotchy and splotchy. While I am going to go over this with a liner, like I said, it is to create that whisper of a shadow. And I'm mainly concentrating this on the outer edge, like on the outer crease part. Because despite this look being smoky, since I'm going to put a liner in, I do want to give it that dimension on the outer side. I'm going to take this color here, Raisin, with my finger. It's very subtle, but it'll give it a nice little sheen. And I'm going to tap that over the eyelid. Over the eyelid. You know what I mean? Not just like a halo eye effect, and not just on the inner corner like a highlight, over the entire eyelid. You know when you wake up and you open your blinds or your drapes or your curtains or whatever, and the windows have all gotten wet and they're all kind of foggy and raindroppy? This is kind of the vibe I'm going for when the windows are wet. On my pencil brush, I'm going to take that same color, Raisin, dust off any excess in case it, you know, does anything, and I'm going to put some underneath the lash line. It's not going to distribute too much color. It's actually not going to distribute any color. You're not going to see any color at all. But in the light, like in the right light, you'll see a sheen. So that's a good thing. Since I've fallen in love with the Fenty Flyliner, I'm not going to be using anything else for a while. I think one of the darkest choices that we have to make as makeup artists, do you want the eye to look like it matches when you're looking directly at someone, or do you want the eye to look like it matches when you're looking down? And that's your call. Don't plan on wearing lashes for two reasons. One, I think I don't have lashes. And two, it's really windy in the winter. Have you ever found that if you're wearing false lashes or if you have lash extensions and the wind blows, you're kind of like, ugh. Then your eyes get watery because it's cold and windy, and then your lashes peel. It's just a nightmare. Just me? Or do you get that too? Because it's a nightmare. Oh yeah, I'm just lining the upper and lower waterlines with the Makeup Forever Aqua Resist Color Pencil. I have been using this since I started this channel. I will never be able to say it without reading it off of the marker. That's done. And with my angled brush again, I'm going to take that color Licorice, which is the black, a little bit to join the lower lash line with the under portion of that wing. And I'm going to blend everything together with my pencil brush. Bringing it into the center, but tapering it into the center so that it joins seamlessly with the rest of the shadows, but it doesn't leave a harsh line on the inner corner. Concentrating the blend on that outer portion. All right, I'm hoping this is gonna hold out. I haven't had a chance to get a new one yet. The Better Than Sex mascara by Too Faced. I'm lucky in the way that I actually have pretty decent lashes. So for me, it works even when it's drying out and supposedly not at 100%. It still works and I still enjoy it, but I do miss having a completely full mascara. Unpopular opinion, possibly. Lashes are great. I do try to avoid them where I can. I might wear them when I go out at night, but during the day, like if I'm running errands, I avoid them because they're impractical. While they look cool when you're trying to make an impression, does it not bother you? Do they not itch your eyes? I don't know. Maybe I'm allergic to the glue. I mean, if I was, my eyes would go puffy, but I don't know. I do typically try to avoid them. They're not my favorite thing, despite how beautiful they look. For lips, let me just put on a little bit of lip balm. The lip balm that I use is by Frank Body. It's pretty finished now, but I don't know, it lasts a decent amount of time. So I do like it, especially in this crusty ass lip season. I'm going to use a color I don't think I've used on this channel, but I've definitely used it a lot. It's by Too Faced Cosmetics. It's their Melted Liquid Lipstick range. I have another color by them, Holy Chic, which I have used on this channel before, but this one is called Granny Panties. And it is this beautiful muted mauve color where I wear it and I feel like it's witching hour. And I love it so much. And it just feels like today. You can't see outside, but I can. While the other liquid lip I do like to wear with a lip liner because it's nude and it gives that ombre, that soft ombre effect. With this one, I don't like to wear a liner. Hang on, just give me a sec to do it. Because liquid lips, especially dark liquid lips, they're pretty unforgiving when you fuck up. But generally the application of this range is really good. It doesn't run. Like I've got that red by Stila, that sample size of that red that I wear, that really bright red. It runs. It feels like the application is bulky and blotchy, and that's why I don't buy the full size one of it. Like it's a cool color, but the product itself, it's not what I like. This is good. And because I still I haven't gone out and found a good highlighter, I'm going to use the color Come Here Often, which is this color right here, as a slight highlight with my little smaller pencil brush. I'm going to, it's matte, so it's not going to distract too much, but it is going to give the appearance of a more open eye. I put it underneath the front part of my eyebrow as opposed to up here, because when you have a hooded eye, if you highlight the actual hood, it makes the hood look bigger, but we've got less real estate up here near the front part of the eyebrow, so if we brighten that part up, it makes it look like our eyes are more open, which especially with smoky looks or darker looks, it's a good ally to have. Just a little bit down the nose as well. It doesn't do much because it's matte, but it does enough, or else I wouldn't do it. A little light on the Cupid's bow, and again, because it's matte and it won't make too much of a difference. I mainly do this on smoky eyes, not to open the eye or widen the eye. I do it to blend the dark shadows into the neutral nude color that we used before, or else it looks very blotchy, blocky. So I just try to create a more gentle blend with it. I'm not really doing it to brighten the eye, although it does also brighten the eye. Setting everything with the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. And while that dries, I'm just gonna fluff my hair around a little bit. I feel like this step is absolutely placebo. The Flawless setting spray, and I've said this before, it dries down matte. So after it's finished drying, it is matte. And I've tested this accidentally when I've been late for work. I do the spray, I leave, and I come home and I'm still matte. But when I apply the powder on top, I feel like I look more matte, which it looks more matte in my monitor as well, but it is purely placebo. The spray in and of itself works just fine, and you're not gonna look greasy or shiny against your will. This is the final look for this week. This lipstick, it's like the perfect blend of plum, mauve, and brown, like all cool tones. And I feel very, you see what I mean when I said I felt very witchy? I like it so much. I wear it so much. This and brown lipstick, when it's this time of year, I love it. So who knows, maybe I'll do a brown lip soon. It's the season for it. Thank you for tuning in today. I am excited to play with these colors. I've had 3 summers in a row. So it will be nice to have this little change. It will be a little refreshing for me. And I get to play with cool tones again, which I haven't done in a while. Cool tones, I feel, suit me better than warm tones. Because I'm neutral, I can pull off both, but cool tones are something else. So that's this week's look. I hope you had a good time. I hope I was able to teach you something. I hope you try this lip, this color, Granny Panties, because it's so good. It's so good. You catch yourself in the mirror and you're like, yo. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like. And if you'd like to see more, consider subscribing. I'll see you next week. Mwah. Bye.